nowadays?
Well, actually, it's more skinny than ever. I mean, an environment of interconnection that knows no more limits. Well, of course, there are limits because you need to structure whatever information you're putting together. But basically, equipping the whole environment with electronic sensors or extensions of electronic sensors, equipping the whole information environment with instantly accessible tagged communication, keywords. The word hyper is not enough to talk about that text. It's an extraordinary texture, as a matter of fact. And it's a texture of the skin. It's a texture of the skin. And Web 2.0 is, first of all, entirely owed to that interconnectivity, that enormous fluidity of information, the enormous pertinence of its positioning in terms of how you re-access it as it is. As it is in fact not just distributed, it is everywhere at once, this information, this system. We have a skin which is everywhere at once. And I think about your own, you'll find it's everywhere at once, right? But this is an electronic thing, which means that it's outside the body. Is it really outside? Yes and no. There is enough interaction between the physical body of each one of us and this electronic environment in various guises, enough of those, to consider that there is a continuity and that there is some kind of flow between body and world. But in effect, we have to admit that in the electrical apparatus and all its digital variations, that skin is external to the skin of us. And maybe we need to entertain that difference between the skin of the planet and the skin of my body. But clearly the sensory modalities within that skin, and of course the skin has and carries sensory. It itself is a sensory medium. The skin is a tactile sensory medium that actually gives you proprioceptive experiences. Takes whatever stimulus you get in a tactile environment, takes it in and sends that information. And it also, I suspect, because of dancing, I suspect it also for it to be responsible for perceiving emotions, perceiving auras. You sense other people. You sense, there are all kinds of things. The skin is involved. I don't think it's alone that's involved. So, the skin of culture is the tactile environment created by electricity around the planet. Web 2.0 plays into that as one of the social human connectors, or connective, as opposed to simply technical or mechanical or even information. So Web 2.0 is social. That's its major thing. Whether you're dealing with Craigslist or dealing with Facebook or Flickr, basically your common dimension is the social dimension and not so much the technical one. So, long answer for a short question.
No, that's good. Well, I see some relation with the activeness, as just like Fernand said yesterday. This activity, people are searching for a more effective relationship.
Yes, absolutely. Of course they are. And there is a web anthropologist and his students, Mike Wesch. You may have heard about Mike, yeah, right? Mike Wesch was telling us once in a conference that, actually was showing us YouTube and YouTube communities and YouTube kids from all over the world, all expressing this hunger for actually a sense of belonging, communication, save the world. I mean, quite a touching series of documents. I'm glad it's happening. It's a new generation. They're very young people usually.
Well, and what do you mean by tag zero? What's it?
The era of the tag.
The era of the tag, yes. It's the era of the tag.
This is the thing. You consider the core element of electricity is a pulse or the electron, whatever. That's too far. You need to have what's the core element of the technology that electricity is using to deal with language. Because that's what it's all about. It's always an adventure of language. Electricity is going in its digital form, digital version, because digital is still electrical. It's going to provide an individual address to every bit of information that can be transported or that can be connected to. Okay? The tag is the soul of the internet. Why? Because your name, my name, whatever goes on the internet and everything else, if you take a photograph or if you take a sound or you send this thing, all of that is divided into absolutely meaningless sequences of zeros and ones, but contain an address. They contain the identity of whatever object is packaged, yeah, right, contain an address, and in order to be able to reconstitute itself at the other end, it has a sort of a number, a kind of an order of appearance. I come after this and before that, as opposed to anywhere, right? So that Derrick de Kerckhove becomes Derrick de Kerckhove on the screen of whoever is, you know, basically calling for him. So, or whoever I'm sending it, the message to. So that's what I mean by the soul of it. So next step then is to think about what are tags doing, how are tags redistributing information? They are making it ubiquitous, number one. A tagged element on Delicious, on social bookmarking sites, or even on anywhere you see a tagged element, you find them everywhere in Wikipedia, for example. You find that a tagged element is a message in the bottle. The bottle, as you know the story of the message in the bottle, yes. But it's a message that is addressed to every continent through the sea, everything at once. So it hits the person who needs it. It's an entirely different configuration. The tag allows total hypertextualization. It allows to declassify everything, except military secrets. And in fact, there's a fabulous story about declassifying information, which is a tendency which is part of the tag era, the opening up of a lot of frontiers, but of course also the closing of others. We're not neglecting the fact that a lot of people are trying to grab control of everything, but by and large the tag is a liberating element from the traditional categories, allowing people to break down some frontiers and still be completely coherent. So that's part of it. It's an era characterized by the ubiquity of information, by the global reality of our experience, by the endlessly remixable quality of all data, information, sounds, whatever it is you put in the digital form. So the era of the tag is exploring the various consequences of that, including Web2.0, obviously social networks. It's a sort of it covers this. It really does cover a fair bit of what electricity is doing to language and people.
Do you think that this tag's success is it related to some thinking structure human beings have always had, and that this, you know, this it was recognized that the use of the tag was just like a recognizing of a start in the memory, you know, when you think about a word and some information comes to your mind. I guess Pierre Lévy have written that this net structure are similar to the human thinking.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's quite natural. We project outside the things that we already, experience inside our head. That's the thing that's happening with screens. That's what's happening with our preferred cognitive strategies. I think even animal societies are perfectly capable of social networks and of hypertextual thinking, by connecting and putting things together in various ways. And in so embryonic form, hypertextual thinking may exist in absolutely any kind of life form. But using it as a main strategy, seeing its metaphor distribute itself technically and socially, that's what's new, I think, and exciting about. That's what's new and exciting about identifying hypertext as a feature a preferred feature of language today. I can see that very much, very rich possibility, and I think it's really sort of happening.